to finding calm in the chaos. I am Denise Sith, and this is my podcast. Hello, my friends. Happy Wednesday. Surprise! I'm back. It's July 2nd, I think. Yeah. It's July 2nd. We in the States are going to be celebrating the 4th of July, Independence Day, this weekend. And I'm excited to be back. I wanted to first say thank you to everyone who allowed me to have this little sabbatical and get my health and my mental health in check, both physical and mental, actually. And I'm feeling really good. I feel like so much has happened in that little bitty part of time. I don't know how long it's been, a couple months. I'm not sure. But I'm back. And I am so grateful to anyone who tunes back in and gets all the alerts from all of that stuff. If you don't already like and subscribe, please do so. It gives you the alerts when I do come back like this. And because I don't advertise, because I really don't care. I just record for, I feel sometimes like 4 people and myself. My therapist is like, it's done volumes for you, Denise. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. What's been going on? Well, in addition to having a little bit of an issue with my health, which is fine, by the way. So what's happened is I clearly have a sensitivity to Buster. Yeah. So I have an issue with Buster's hair in the house. And as a result, my eyes have been just crazy. We thought maybe we had Sjogren's or something, and nope, it's just dry eye and irritation, and I don't like it because sometimes it's so bad. Like even if I skip a day, like if you know, if you have a Newfoundland or like I do, or any of a Shepherd, a Husky, Anatolian Shepherd, the Pyrenees, you get, if you have that kind of dog, the hair issue. And it doesn't mean I love them any less. It's just something you got to do. But sometimes you just don't want to do it because you're tired, man. And you have lupus and RA. And so I wasn't feeling well. So I skipped a bunch of times to brush and groom him. And boom, my eyes just were horrible. Like to the point that sometimes they just literally, not scab, but like flake over. I know, TMI, but and it's not okay because you have to wash your eyes, rinse them out. I stumbled upon honey eye drops. If you've not tried these, if you have dry eye issues and you have not found honey eye drops yet, my friends, go get them. Okay? Go get them because they're amazing. They changed my life. I'm like, oh my God, I can get up in the morning and open my eyes with just a drop. I was using other, I don't know, I asked numerous friends for recommendations for eye drops, and all I did was have a bunch of drops that didn't do anything. I was like, yeah, that's not doing nothing. But then I was reading in my holistic thing honey, with the solution of whatever, and I'm like, I'm not making that. Then I was like, Amazon. I Googled, found a company that was good, and the rest is history. My eyes feeling pretty good. They still on occasion have issues, but not like it was every day. Lupus and RA. You know what? I'm just in the next stage. I've literally went over 30 years, 25 years. I more specifically, 25 years, medication free. And I'm still going to remain medication free. I just have to tweak, which is what I did, tweak and adjust and do all the things to address the next stage. So apparently since my foot surgery, which was supposed to fix my foot, has turned into a nightmare. So that essentially has stopped all of my natural lymph functioning. If you don't know anything about lymph nodes and the drainage system that they do, Google that. So I've already messed up the one in my stomach, right? Because I've had full abdominal reconstructive surgery after all my cancer operations. So they had to reconstruct my abdomen. So my abdomen is no longer abs. They're flanks. They're like from the sides. So all of that was cut out because it was just, repeated surgeries over and over, just weaken the walls, right? And the muscles. So that also removes your lymph system, which is like a very important like terminal right there. And then you also have a terminal in your chest and in your like your neck area. So I'm working on just clearing and constantly moving my lymph so it can drain properly. Because like I was saying, once you go on after that surgery, it's just not moving. So I think they pretty much remove those as well. So like, oh, that's wonderful. But I wanted to share with you guys today. I'm like, I don't want to talk about like deep stuff, right? Emotionally, what was happening is I was getting just really anxious and really like down on myself because I just couldn't do anything. I was almost like frozen because I don't know if anybody's gotten that way, but before, you know what I'm talking about, but it's like this complete sense of not overwhelmed, but so overwhelmed's already passed. So I was just in shutdown because I felt like I needed to save myself. And I was like, yep, nope, I'm done. Not going to do any of that. I'm not going to record. I'm not going to constantly clean the floor. I'm not going to, and like, when I mean that, like my floor was horrendous, but I had to let it go for me. And I really have troubles doing that normally. So the fact that I did it was pretty exciting. So, what are we doing now? I am going to talk about, I'm going to fast forward to the beginning of June, June 4th to be exact. And we, as a family, me, Pete, and Mr. Sith, all went to Italy. We returned to Italy. And we brought, as a guest, my niece. And a lot of people have asked which niece it is. So it is the niece that has not been with us anywhere yet, or we've had any occurrences with. Let's just put it that way. Because the past is the past. But this is my niece, Angelina. She's the middle child, I guess the middle child of my sister's 4. And I felt like she's a really hard worker. She's been dealt some cards, but she's overcome them. And I appreciate that sometimes you just need to know there's more. And so I'm like, we're taking her. And Mr. Sith agreed, and Peter loves to travel with anybody. So he was like, let's go. So, as you guys know, we, went through the whole passport thing with her and all that. And then, we went. She's never flown in an airplane before. And she's never been abroad. So there's that. And, I will tell you that she handled the whole trip like a champ. It is not easy to travel abroad for the first time because you don't know what to expect, especially if you bring with you, like I said, she's been dealt some cards in life. So she's got some PTSD, she's got anxiety, and she handled it. So I felt like 98% of the trip, she was a joy. And the other 2, she was just dealing with life and it passed. And that was that. Like we all do, right? I mean, that number even might be lower than mine sometimes. Just saying. But I want to talk about the trip because I am super proud of myself, as is my therapist, in that I went on this entire vacation without an explosion, a rage episode, or a time where I put myself in a bad mental capacity. If you know, you know. Okay, so sometimes you put yourself in these, meaning me, I put myself into these situations where I predictably behave the way I'm just trying to stop behaving. Does anybody like understand that? Like there is no way for me to explain it other than I put myself into situations and I just predictably act the way I want to stop acting. And so I went on this vacation consciously choosing talked with my therapist a little. Literally, I gave most of it to God. I'm going to be really honest with you. There were a lot of times I was talking to Jesus on this trip, but I did it. 0 occurrences. I had situations that were like disappointing, not with Italy, but in general, like just regular situations that come up when you're a parent or whatever, when you're traveling with your husband. And, I just handled them. I was like, thank God, Denise, you finally got this down. So I was super proud of myself on this trip. So I want to talk about, as a result of that, how much more I enjoyed, despite like a lot of setbacks. I'll talk about that. Despite those setbacks, how much I enjoyed this trip wholeheartedly, more so than I have any other vacation in my life. I mean that 120%. Because simply of the way I handled myself internally on the trip, I was able to enjoy things without going into a moment, right? An anger moment or a rage moment or anxiety where I'm just talking to myself about that issue and not seeing what's around me. And boy, it made a huge difference on this trip, like duh. But it's hard when you carry, OCD, and, obsessive compulsiveness is really bad, especially the negative part of it. I mean, there are positive parts of it. I'm not going to lie. Your house is clean, blah, 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 but the positive parts of it can be really well. And that's what I tried to swing. I tried to reprogram in my mind about how instead of going into a negative repetition, I was going to go into a positive repetition. And this was what worked for me. So anytime I felt the trigger, I literally started talking to Jesus. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, just saying that. Stop. Oh my God, I can't believe she's saying that. Who does that? I do. And so do a lot of people apparently. But I literally would just start talking to Jesus. And I'm going to start talking about the trip because this is how it started out. Less than 24 hours, it was literally about 15 hours before the trip, I got notifications. Now, everything was paid for, like our VRBOs, the plane, tickets to some of the functions that we were going to see. You got to buy ahead of time. So I was done, right? We just were going and spending money and enjoying, right? On food or whatnot. Because of the food, you guys. Oh my God. All right, I'll talk about that. Hold on. But wow. Literally 15 or less hours before, I got notifications via the travel app that my Milan, which was the first place we were staying, and Rome, which was the last place we were staying, our accommodations were being canceled because they were double booked. And we were not the first to book. And I'm like, wait, okay. Because that's where I did. Oh, no. Oh, no. And then I caught myself. Nope. I'm just going to give this to God. He's going to give me a place to stay. Not even going to sweat it. I'm going to look at some places, see what comes up. Now, I will tell you that this was a Jubilee year in Italy, meaning it is a Christian. Every 25 years, the Christians all flock to Italy, specifically Rome, but some other big churches in Milan and all that. And so the accommodations tend to get booked up fairly quickly. Okay, the good accommodations, let me just reiterate that. And so on top of the fact that, in Rome, a new pope just happened from Chicago. Now we have the pope. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. If you're Chicagoan, you get that. But how crazy. We were literally, side story, squirrel. We literally was watching that because I wanted Peter to see it's a historic thing, right? It's something that happens. It's his first pope. Not my first pope, but it's his first pope. So we were watching and I was telling him about the smoke out of the chimney and blah, blah, blah. And then my parents were here visiting, right? And so we're sitting there and all of a sudden, like, Pete's like, there's white smoke. There's white smoke. And I'm like, oh, they picked a pope. And then we're all talking about, literally, we almost did like brackets on popes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I felt it was a teaching moment. It's a teaching moment. Brackets for the Pope. We went through basically the top 10 popes that, people that could be the Pope. And we're just running them and we all got to pick like what our top 2 faves were, right? Like I said, we did like Pope brackets. And all of a sudden they were like talking and stuff. And this guy comes out and he was super creepy. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So like I am a recovering Catholic. So I love churches, like the art behind them, the history, the craftsmanship, the history. But I don't always agree with the Catholic Church. And so rather than just keep fretting about it, I decided that I would just be a Christian and just put Catholicism aside. You either agree or don't agree with that. I kind of like the new Pope. I mean, for reasons other than he's from Chicago. But I just remember, like, I did not pick him. So Carl had his picked. I had my picked. Peter had his pick. And all of a sudden they like announce him. And it's this guy's walking forward, obviously. And I'm like, who's that? We're all like, who's that? There's not even like, I'm looking like on my phone, like, wait, is this guy in like the final runnings that we had? Was this guy on the brackets? Like, I don't even know. No, he was not on the brackets. And then as soon as his face emerged, we were watching like an Italian stream on YouTube and they start talking. So here's me, hurry up. I need captions. I'm not that fluent. And they're like, this is, he's from America. And then they start talking about Chicago. And I'm thinking, did they just say he's an American Pope? Which is crazy all in itself. Okay. If you know, you know. But the fact that he's from Chicago, just, and you're from Chicago is just like icing on a cake. Right. And we were like, wait, they literally voted on the Pope. Unbelievable. So that side story over, back to the original road. Having a new Pope, the death and the mourning of the old Pope, it's a lot. And so it can get super busy. Plus things are closed down and, you can't visit on certain days. And so we weren't going to see the Vatican, but I am in a group that does Roman travel. And there were lots of people who literally, I mean, think about it. Yeah, I get that a new Pope was elected and it's huge and it's monumental and it's historical and all this stuff. It's a huge rite of passage for Catholics and all this stuff and Christians alike. But when you've paid everything planning a vacation that is a once in a lifetime thing, you don't even know if you're going back, and you've made, bought tickets and did all the right things to get in to see the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel and St. Peter's and all of that stuff. And then you're just suddenly told you can't go because they elected a new Pope and there's things they need to do in it. So they just close them. It could be pretty devastating. So there were a lot of people who were affected by that. And it's just like, well, maybe you can just go in like the square and just see the Pope. Like maybe that'll be cool. But it was kind of sad to see that. We didn't have to worry about that. So, but finding an apartment. So I wound up looking, I normally do VRBO. There was nothing unless we wanted to rent like, some penthouse for $1,200 a night. And I'm like, not going to happen. So we had to go to like, we went to booking.com, which my husband uses, but I've never used. So I wound up finding a 2-bedroom apartment in Studicita, which is the student city. So it's by the colleges. Turns out it was a really nice apartment. There was some construction, but you know what? You're in Italy. Everything's under construction. Not gonna lie, it is. So if you're going to Italy and you think everything looks like Tuscan pictures, nope, that's not how it is. Overall, it was close to everything. Let's just put it that way, right? Sums it up. It was clean. It was 2-bedroom. There was construction in the front. We couldn't hear it. They didn't do it while we were there, or if they did, we were already gone for the day, so it didn't disturb me at all. And it was close to the trains, and we had cafes near us, so it was perfect. Cafe in Italy, a cafe or a bar are places that serve drinks, coffee, Aperol spritz, like beer. They're all the same. So you always want to find a cafe or a bar near the place you're staying in Italy so that you can go have your morning coffee. Can you make it at your place? Yeah, you probably could, but you're traveling abroad. So I want to have coffee like the Italians. We're going to talk about that too, because it's been rough since I've been back. So the first day, we got to our apartment. It was really not a big deal. We always just get rides from the airport to the house because why play, right? It was decent getting there. We were in a decent area. I will say that not once in all the places that we went in Italy did we feel unsafe. I know a lot of people may or may not think of this because of all of the strange, crazy media and news that we have going on. Did we see copious amounts of migrants protesting in the street and doing weird stuff? We did not. We did not. I'll be honest. And I thought that I know pickpockets are always an issue in the big cities. Did I ever once feel unsafe or threatened? No. But I'm also from Chicago. So I could see that could vary if you're from like a small town in Wisconsin. I don't know. Right? I don't know. Were there the normal amount of hustlers trying to sell flowers and tickets and hats and, that are not Italian? Yeah, but that hasn't changed. That's always been the case. So in case you wanted to go to Italy, that's all I can speak for right now, and you were worried about what the media is portraying on both sides, we found it not to be an issue. So back to Milan. We loved our apartment. It was really nice. It was clean. The person was very friendly. It had air conditioning. We'll talk about that. So Italians are not huge fans of air conditioning. They may or may not have air conditioning in their home, but they do not use it like we do in the States. Okay? They do not use it like that. It is enough to cool them off, but a lot of them feel that it makes you sick. Okay? They're also not huge fans of ice. Yeah, you heard me. They're not huge fans of ice. And I mean, logically, it makes sense. They feel like if they're going to have a drink, it could be cold out of a refrigerator. And if you put ice in it, it just waters it down and makes it taste gross. I think, in all honesty, we're just used to drinking our drinks that way. Or that we have such copious amounts of drinks. Because once again, just like last time we went in 2023, there is a huge discrepancy in portion sizes between America and abroad. And a lot of people are like, oh, you ate everything. Like, how are you even? I would come back weighing 100 pounds. No, you wouldn't. Because we walked over 25,000 steps a day. It was extremely hot. I would say pretty much everywhere for the second half of our trip, meaning I'm going to go 2 weeks. Okay. So we went for 3 weeks. The last 2 weeks was brutally hot, and you just had to know how to deal with it. You go out early, you go home for riposo. We'll talk about that later. And then you go back out when it gets a little bit cooler. And when a little bit cooler, I mean 89. You know what I'm saying? And shade. So we found a really nice local cafe. I just had espresso the whole time. It was fabulous. I know my niece was worried because she likes, caramel with a little coffee with it. And so she and Mr. Sith opted for the cafe macchiato. And that seemed to work for them. And she did like, I think it was a packet and a half of sugar. And we used raw sugar. I bring it with me in case they don't have it, but they did. We lived in this really cute area by a church. It was so nice. The first day we went out, we got to walk through this amazing, like, long park. So imagine like the length of a street, in some of the cities, like even in Chicago, here they will have these long thoroughways, essentially like avenues. And then in the middle is like a greened out section of just random trees and nothing's ever done with it. They did that, except they used it and made it more park-like. So they had basketball and climbing things and stuff for the kids. And it was just really nice that they utilized that space. But it was right down the block from where I was, like 4 minutes, because we were going to the subway. The train system in Italy is the bomb. It is pretty much everywhere in Europe that I've been, but it is so much easier to get around. Now, we didn't have any issues. We left at the beginning of June, so there weren't a ton of people there yet. I mean, there were people, but like doable people, if you know what I mean. Doable people, because it can be quite like crowded in places like Rome, especially during a Jubilee year and the death and the election, of a new pope. So we were on the subway. Again, never felt unsafe. Always make sure in Italy, if you do not buy your tickets on your phone, so that they're validated on your phone, gets validated automatically as soon as you use them to get in. If you buy paper tickets, they have to be validated. Everything, okay? Or there are fines. So we went and saw the Duomo di Milano. It's a beautiful church. Like when you look at these places, they're just phenomenal in their architecture, inside and out. And I always think you should, if you don't want to take a tour, I Google. I don't take the tours. I don't do the audio tours. I just Google stuff. And then we'll read it to each other so that we know what we're looking at. And then we just all enjoy. You know what I'm saying? So we took the piazza right outside of that. The square is beautiful. It's also the same square that you find the Galleria on. Okay, so the Galleria is the architecture in that is amazing as well. It's like this huge glass domed marble and limestone, and it's just stunning. But they have this huge like glass ceiling over it that's domed, and it's got all the big stores, Chanel, Louis, Prada, everything. Okay. And there's some restaurants, and there's also a hotel in there, apparently. That's kind of cool. And there's a place that you can go where you can have coffee and look out over the piazza. So that's kind of cool. We did not do that. But in this Galleria, they have this beautiful tile mosaic work on the floors. And one of the mosaics is of a bull. And it's considered good luck to put your heel on the bull's balls. I'm not making this up, okay? How can you make this stuff up? And you turn 3 times, and it's supposed to give you good luck. So there were people waiting to do this so that we weren't all going to do it. But I did have Peter do it. He went out there, and you put let's put it this way. So many people have spun on these bull's balls in the mosaic that there's a literal, it's making a hole. Like there's a hole. He had to like dump his foot into the hole and then spin with his foot up in the air because it doesn't lay flat anymore. It was pretty funny. But there's so many beautiful buildings and fountains. Just you go and you turn a corner and there's like another little piazza, and it's got a beautiful statue or a fountain in the middle with like greenery and trees, and you just like chill. But it's just beautiful. One of the things we did that a lot of people are like, what? I can't believe you would do that. We went to the Starbucks Reserve in Milan. Now, it used to be the largest, but now, coincidentally and quite funny, Chicago is. So Chicago, here in my own home state, we now have the largest Starbucks Reserve. So by quite a lot, might I add. It's huge. So I've never been to the one in Chicago, but clearly now I've been to the one in Milan. There is a line to get in, and it seems weird. Like, why are you standing in line to go to a Starbucks, Denise, in Milan? Let me explain to you why. First off, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. If you have not been to a Starbucks Reserve, it is unbelievable. They roast the beans in-house, and they have all of these like delivery methods and pipes that they send them through in their process, and that happens around you. So you're seeing it happen as the roasting is going on, and they're dumping like the big, barrels and all of that. And the pastries at this thing, yeah, they ain't Starbucks. Okay, neither is the coffee. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They might be roasting the coffee. I would imagine at the Reserve in Milan is way better than the one in Chicago or in America, and it by hands down, just because they just have a better understanding of coffee, like real coffee, and it's not filled with like sugar and garbage. So I wound up having a pistachio coffee, which was amazing. It was so good. And I just basically got like a few sandwiches and tarts and stuff that we could all try, because it was like around that time of the day. But we did wait in line. We didn't wait longer than 10 minutes. They have security at the door, and that is to keep everything moving inside. So they're counting who's coming out and putting those people in. And that basically ensures that everybody has a place to sit, so you're not just standing there. And it also helps control the lines for the main bar where you order all of your stuff. It was highly organized. And I would like to state for the record that the bathroom there was amazing. Just saying. Yes, I judge things by bathrooms, but the place is really pretty. It was clean. The pastries and the sandwiches were all wonderful. Everybody had a drink. Peter even noticed we took a picture together, and there was a huge, in a section where people like ate little tables and stuff. We were at the bar. We chose to sit at the bar, and watch all the baristas. And there was a big picture, but it basically was little labels of all the different roasts of coffee. And they had them folded up into like almost rectangles. So it looked like almost like a brick square, right? A square made up of individual bricks of these coffee labels. And I didn't notice it until I took the picture. And so I took the picture and I went, ooh, what is going on with that picture? And Peter was like, it's the Duomo. And here's me. Wait, it is. But it was such an illusion that I didn't even notice it from where I was standing. But once I did, I was like, now that is clever. Needless to say, another thing to look at when you're out doing stuff like this. Like, I would have never seen that. It was just such a cool piece of art that it's Starbucks and it's a Reserve. So there was some extra stuff, but it just was a little special touch to make it specific to Milan by having that beautiful picture and having it so understated. If they had just a big picture of the Duomo, it would seem, in all honesty, like, yeah, because you're by the Duomo. But the fact that it was just kind of integrated into the picture with the labels was super cool. We liked it. The Duomo, again, in Milan, breathtaking, inside and out. I can't even describe how beautiful the care and the talent and the that goes into these things, and the age of the craftsmanship, and how it was truly high-end craftsmanship because it lasted all these years. People are walking in there, they're touching stuff, they're kneeling, it's a church. One thing I did notice, so what a lot of people don't realize when they travel is that when you're in Italy and you're traveling to churches, there is a dress code. The dress code normally consists of having your shoulders covered, and no knees. You can't see your knees. So I didn't have a problem because I had brought capri pants that were longer, were like mid calf, but then I also just wore linen pants the whole time, and it was fabulous. Highly recommended, regardless of the heat. Those linen pants kept me cool. The air goes right through them. It's fabulous. So here's me looking for linen tops now, because my t-shirts did not. I was all sweaty in them. They were totally not breathable, not cotton. So I was like, oh, here we go. The stained glass, the statues, the tombs, the people who are buried there. Just read. Some of this stuff is dated like 300 AD. That's insane. That's insane. You're walking and doing things on stuff from the 15th century, 1500s, 1600s. It's insane. The beauty and the quality and the craftsmanship that goes into these things in the past. We don't make things like this anymore. So we bought a ticket to get into the Duomo, and that included the ticket to the museum, okay, of things and artifacts that were unearthed in the basement, or that over time had to be repaired, so they took them out, or they found them in storage, so they pulled them out because, they replaced them with something but didn't get rid of the original statues. And so they keep all that stuff and they put it on display in a museum. Absolutely stunning. About the church dress code, though, there's a lot of things that are written into common sense that don't actually, like, there is no common sense anymore. Be real honest. There is no other way there is no dance around that subject. People don't know how to dress. Now, I'm all about individual expression and blah, blah, blah. But I have this thing. When you are on a flight, for example, and you are traveling abroad or traveling domestically, I feel like there's a way that you should dress comfortably, but also keeping into mind security and stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't wear lace-up combat boots to go through TSA, but yet people do. And it's freaking annoying, okay? But one of the things that I saw in our trip that was just disappointing was how many people went into churches or tried to go into churches, because in Italy, during a Jubilee year for sure, they stop you. And this is especially true if you have tickets to go to Rome and see the Vatican. I don't care if it's 108 degrees out. You need to wear their dress code. Your kids need to wear the dress code. And if you just bought tickets and you wait in line to get in, and then you get to the door and they tell you can't come in because your shoulders are exposed or your boobs are popping out, or your son's knees are up because he decided to wear, like, I don't know, rugby shorts that day, and he's got, like, full thigh showing. That's a no, guys. It's a no, my friends. You have to have a common just respect for other people's cultures, especially religious. And this goes to everyone. If you're going into their church to see it, the least you can do is dress appropriately. Now, there were some places like the Milan Duomo who were asking girls. They had, you know how, like, those wraps you get, those paper wraps? I call them paper wraps. They're paper is what they are. You can pull them. But when you go to the doctor and they're like, yeah, can you put this wrap around you? And, okay, so it's not a full gown. It's just the wrap. And they rip, they're disposable, blah, blah, blah. They had those, but in white. And so they were asking girls to put them around their shoulders or wrap them around their waist because they were wearing, short shorts. And it's just the fact that you have to be told that you can't wear a tube top and, Daisy Duke shorts. I just totally aged myself there. Aspiring shorts. There you go. I like the Daisy Dukes better. It's just, I don't know. It's part of this me society. And I really found that the most annoying thing traveling this time was not my own family, but other people's disregard for customs and just general niceties, and that other people exist besides themselves. We'll talk about those as we go along. But the museum was awesome. They had so many statues and stained glass that was there. The stained glass was beautiful. I was going to take a movie, but they told me I couldn't. So I was like, oops, sorry, and I'm going to tell you, I'm okay with that. Most of my pictures are of the art themselves. What's disturbing is when you're trying to take a picture of something, but there's some gal who's taking 600 pictures in front of it, but hasn't once looked at the piece of art. She's just taking pictures for Instagram. Yeah, that's annoying. Because I'm just like, hi, can we move it along? There's only so many pictures you need of you flipping your hair to the left, then to the right, then the duck, and the cheek suck, duck, cheek suck, duck, hip, no, the other hip, here on the other side, bat the eyes, lip, duck lip, sucking the, I'm like, please stop. Turn around and look at the damn piece. They don't once look at it. They just want a picture in front of it for Instagram. They're not even really living what they're selling, or probably selling, but what they're portraying online. And it kind of made me sad. That's how I coped with it, was that you can't get angry over a generation of people who aren't even present in their own life. It's all a facade. Think about that. It's completely a facade. Filters. In all honesty, they don't even know. Everything is likes. It's just horrible. And I was just like, over time, I was just like, wow. She's standing in front of a painting from 1286 AD, and she hasn't once looked at it. Wow. That's sad. One thing they had in this Duomo Museum was a wood miniature model. Now, when I say miniature, it was about 7 feet tall, of the Duomo itself, of the plans they had for making it. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's crazy. So then after that, we decided that we were going to walk over to we were going to take a cable car, but then it took so long to wait for one. Okay, so buses and trains, super they're the mode of transportation itself is super handy. Okay, very handy. They go everywhere. Timeliness in Italy, yeah, no, they just kind of roll with it. This year, you could be late. It's late 30 minutes. That's not uncommon in Italy at all. So we went across the street to catch it because it said it was going to come in 4 minutes. But then that turned into 5 minutes. That turned into 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, we could have walked there already. It's literally 3 blocks away. So we just walked. I was like, why are we standing here still? So we wound up walking over to Sforza Castle, essentially. Beautiful fountains, gardens, is super nice. We didn't go into the castle this time. We didn't have time, and we were exhausted, and it was super hot. But we got to see the inside gardens, and it was spectacular again. Just beautiful. Everything's blooming there. Beautiful bridges and just things to look at over the bridges and the craftsmanship behind that. Turrets, towers. It's just gorgeous. Then we stopped at our first place so that we can, we made reservations to go have dinner at this awesome spot in Milan itself. And so we were like, you know what, let's just start walking and get over there. Because at this time, you're pretty hungry, but you need drinks. So dinner is another thing. If you're an American and you're traveling to Italy, know that dinner doesn't normally start until earliest 7:00. That's PM. And it goes on sometimes through midnight, depending on where you are, the neighborhood, that kind of stuff. Okay. Italians notoriously eat very late. Now, when you understand their schedule, okay, it makes more sense. I'm going to explain some of this, so I'm just going to go through it briefly. They get up in the morning, and they start their day with what we consider a crappy breakfast. But what we eat, they consider a crappy breakfast. But it makes sense once you understand like the Italian lifestyle. So they have like a cornetta or some sort of pastry with cafe. Okay. And for the kids have sometimes gelato, but usually like some sort of succo, which is juice. So Peter had succa pesca, which is peach juice. He loved it. So we would go and order coffee with pastries. And so, because you want something to get you going for the day. I just had espresso. That's just un cafe or un espresso. And then my niece and Mr. Sith had the latte macchiato. So we would say latte macchiato, per favore. Always say please. If you try to speak just a little, literally all you have to do is know how to say hello. If it's, most people will use ciao because that's what we know. Bye, hi, ciao, ciao. That's actually amongst friends, technically. If you want to really impress them, I would greet people I didn't know with salve, which is hello, proper, and arrivederci, or arrive. A lot of people just say derci. It depends on what region. They really cut that word up. But arrivederci, goodbye. I would like. Vorrei. I would like. Vorrei un espresso. That's all. And sometimes they would look at you because you were American and they would say, Italiano? Yes, Italian. Now, sometimes it would look and be like, we were trying to figure out what Mr. Sith and Angelina would drink before we figured out it was the latte macchiato. And they were like, Americano? And we're like, no. Because literally that's just coffee and water. That's how crappy it is. That's how they think of our coffee. I'm not even joking. It's just like an internal Italian joke, I think. They say you shouldn't order cappuccino. They don't drink dairy like after 10 o'clock. You can order it no matter where you're at. They're happy to serve you. They don't look at you like you're weird. They might think it, but they just don't. And then there's a light lunch. Right? Now light lunch might mean pasta, sandwich, a salad with noodles, it could be anything, right? That also comes with aperitivo or a drink. And then it's riposo, which is like sleep time. It's time to rest, right? So from 1 to 4, anywhere between that time, in some smaller neighborhoods, you might have things closed because it's time for them to eat and nap. And usually in the summertime, it's so effing hot that they also have to shower. That's how we survived. It was so hot. We would come home and be literally, I can't even tell. I've never been that hot. And so we would I would take a cold shower, not even joking. I would just get in like cold shower. That's all I need. And perfect. Especially if you're in a place that doesn't have air conditioning. They'll have fans and whatnot. I mean, they should, but, so we stopped for a drink. Sorry, let me get back. So we stopped for a drink because we didn't have like riposo. We had just stopped for we were just really sightseeing. So I said, well, let's just stop for an early drink. We'll have aperitivo. And they'll usually bring you like nuts. It depends on where you're from. Some places like in Venice, they have cicchetti, which is literally like they'll bring you like little almost breads topped with things, seafood, stuff like that, cod, bacala, all that stuff. But sometimes they'll bring you out little supli or chips or peanuts, spread with bread. You'll get fed while you're doing this so that you're not just drinking alcohol, that you have like food in your stomach. So we all had aperitivo until our reservations for a restaurant that opened, which was, like I said, I made reservations at 7 and they opened at like 6:30, but we were like the first people there. The restaurant is in Milan, but not in the historical center where the Duomo is. It's out a little bit. We walked. So it's like a 1960 style, for lack of a better term, grandma's house. And it's called Riso e Latte Duomo. So RISOELATTE Duomo, DUOMO. Okay. It is like a little old fashioned house. on multiple levels. So we were like in the kitchen next to the cupboard, and then on the top floor, and you can see them because it's like a little, like 5 stairs up, a landing, 5 stairs up, a landing, 5 stairs up, a landing. That's it, right? There's even laundry, like fake laundry hanging. It's adorable. Some of the best food. It was delicious, my friends. Delicious. Like I can't even. We got, what did we get? So we got the fried sardines. So sardines are big in Italian culture. I only like them in Italy, of course. But they are not like fried. It's almost like a tempura batter, and there's no bones. So you just like eat them, and they have like these like mayo dips and stuff and salad with it. It's just so good. And then I forgot what Mr. Sith ordered. The kids ordered cacio e pepe. I ordered octopus. There are numerous. There's primo courses, main courses, secondo courses. So you can just, and they're all in like reasonable methods. Okay. But I ordered as my primo the octopus, and it was on grilled vegetables, which were amazing. Italians know how to grill vegetables, especially like eggplant, peppers, zucchini. They got that like down. It's delicious. It was some of the best. They didn't bring me like some frozen octopus. I got like 2 huge legs. I know if you're like, don't like into that, just move along. Fast forward, baby. Fast forward. It was marinated in some sort of balsamic vinegar, like real balsamic, not the crap we buy here. Okay, that probably has food coloring in it. Real thick balsamic, sweet. And that was it. It darkened it, left like a syrupy coating on it. And then it was lightly grilled properly. And it was amazing. My niece tried it. This is the same niece who cuts all the fat off of all of her meat and cooks it super well done to where it tastes like crap. And then she wonders why she doesn't like meat. Just saying, she fixed that in Florence. But Italy fixed that for her too. She tried it. And not only did I know she actually liked it, how did I know? Because she tried it twice so that I would take a picture of her eating it. I was like, wait, what? She must have really liked it. But it was delicious. But one of the things they did was they had this, it was basically their specialty, a rissolate risotto. So it was basically wild berry risotto with cheese in it, like a sharp cheese. Oh, my friend. First off, it was purple, like lavender. It was gorgeous, and it was delicious. I can't even explain. When I read it, I was like, these flavors sound so out there that I feel like I need to try it. And I'm glad I did. I believe Mr. Sith had also risotto with saffron, but that he also had the ossobuco on top of it. I don't remember. I'll be honest with you. But it was delicious. And we had tiramisu after. The tiramisu was fine. It wasn't fabulous, but it was the first time that we let Peter have tiramisu. Because, I mean, it's tiramisu. What's the big deal? I will tell you what's the big deal. Espresso. Like actually having real espresso in it. Oh, boy. He was burning up for a little bit. Not going to lie. He was tearing it up. So we loved our stay in Milan. It was a really nice apartment. The host was very accommodating, and it was clean. Like I said, that's all we can do. We did take a day trip from there. We could talk about that on the next episode. But again, we took the train. No big deal. The train stations were decent. We stopped in the morning for, that's when we started using the electrolytes. And look at the train stations when you travel, people, because they're also gorgeous. Like they're phenomenal. Plus the super trains, they're super cool. And they go fast. Like our train was going like 125 miles per hour at one point. I forget where we were going. We may have been going from Florence to Rome at that point, but yeah, we had a great time. And like I said, it was really hot. So we started making sure that we were drinking like Powerades, electrolytes. I wound up buying electrolytes later and just adding them, but nobody else wanted them because they were like magnesium and sodium and like they were natural. They were natural because the garbage stuff is banned or not wanted there, so nobody will buy it. No dyes, with like a lemon flavor. And everyone's like, okay. My niece was like, Anthony, so I'm gonna be real honest with you. I know this is probably trying to help me, but I'm gonna stick to the Powerades and I'll keep drinking them with water because this tastes like wash water with lemon. Like, it's like that dang magnesium. But we had a wonderful time in Milan. I'll be really honest with you. Also, again, before I forget, when you are in the train stations and stuff, when you're traveling, make sure you always have small euro coin. So they have like a $5 bill, a 10, a 20, and then it goes up from there. I think a 50, 100. We only travel with 5, 10s, and 20 euros, and we go to the bank to have an exchange done ahead of time because you want to make sure you're getting a good exchange rate. You never want to go to an ATM that's outside of a store. You always want to go to a legitimate bank with an ATM inside. They will have an option for English. You always need to make sure you tell your bank before you go that you're traveling and where to, just so that they don't stop your card. I did that and I still had to call to have them release my card from the fraud department because I kept locking our cards up. So the fun thing is that we all had at least one card that worked at all times. So I was like, this is ridiculous. But we finally got it worked out when we talked to somebody who actually knew what they were talking about. Like I literally walked into my branch of the bank and spoke to 3 different people that I would be traveling to note the account accordingly because the time difference is a bitch, right? You're in the middle of Raposo from 1 to 4 and at 2 o'clock, you have to call your bank because they're just opening from the time change. That gets inconvenient because I want to relax, not be on hold for an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? Because the wait time doesn't change because I'm in Italy. But we finally got a wonderful girl, and her name was Kelsey. Not forget this because I actually wrote a letter to the bank, sent an email about her because it was unbelievable. She cleared everything up. And she also is the one that found that they just like literally just said I was going to be in Italy in the comments, but didn't actually go to where they needed to put it in the system so that the fraud department knew. And now, mind you, I went 3 times. I spoke to 3 different people, and all 3 of those people did something wrong. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. And then here I'm in Italy, and I'm getting my card declined. And then we also got told as another thing. So Italy's really big on the tap and go. They're out of there, right? Or cash. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if your card is declining consistently, but your account's not locked up, you can check online. You can at my bank. I've got BMO, so you can check online. But my card wasn't locked up. It kept getting declined. And finally, we were at a restaurant that said, you know what? Put the card in. Don't tap it. Sometimes the banks in America want the card in the machine. And so we did it, and we didn't have any problems after that. Like just little stinking things like that. But he was familiar. It was a place that a lot of people frequented for tourists. And so there was that, right? But also what I was saying is they have a 2 euro coin, a 1 euro coin, 50 and 20 cents. And then they go down from there. I think it's like 10 and a penny, or a cent. But always have like 20 cent, 50 cent dollars and $2 coins because in the train stations and stuff like that, you will most likely have to pay to use. I know a lot of people are like, that's ridiculous, but it's not. It's not because number one, it's clean, it's stocked. And the thing that needs to catch on here from Europe are full doored enclosed stalls. This is my favorite thing about going to the bathroom in Italy. Walking into a bathroom and the door closes and you're in it, it's just completely closed. There aren't little holes where people's kids can look. They can't wave their hands under. They lock. I'm telling you, it's worth paying. I think they were $1.20 at most places. That would be €1.20. So gladly would pay that. But highly recommend if you're in Milan that you go to Risolette Domo. Definitely need to make a reservation. We were able to get our reservations to all our restaurants the night before, except for one. And in all honesty, if it's booked that far in advance, it's probably just an Instagram influencer trap, and it's not worth being there. Just saying. All right, you guys, thanks again for all of your patience with the podcast. I'll see you again next week, Wednesday, and we will talk about the next part of the trip and what I've learned for it and what I haven't. I guess in the end, a lot of people said, did you enjoy Milan? I absolutely did. Is it like my favorite city in Italy? No, it's not. To me, it was enough to see what I saw. We really wanted to see the Last Supper painting, but it was sold out, the tickets, and that's months ahead of time. And I couldn't get them. So we didn't even try. Do we feel like that missed out on our trip? Nope, because we made up for it by going on a day trip, and that ticked all of our boxes and made all of our expectations like we're blown out of the roof. So I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.